1. Abella Danger, Brandy Love, Riley Reid, Mia Khalifa, Maya Makova off right now. Now, imagine having sex with an AI robot and then who's a clone off a porn star or really anyone you have a crush on and then meeting that person like in real life. What the fuck, dude?
I cannot compute.
So basically,
is that what that's what the AI is going to be saying when you're just banging the shit out of them? Cannot compute. Cannot compute.
So basically, if you did that, you'd be like, I rocked your world last night. Oh, no, you're not who it was, but it's almost the same thing. Hey, I don't know.
No, man, imagine if they get together, right? Like the AI and the real person get together. And then they team up in you, and then they go, well, don't you remember this shit happened? And you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
And so now you don't know what you did to who.
Freaky Friday.
Mic up a little bit for you like that.
It's a Freaky Friday bit.
But unfortunately, we're not there yet. But I don't think it'll be long before.
Hey, what do you mean? You can get a silicone mannequin with a robot head for like 10 grand now.
Dude, well, I've already seen at like the sex shop, I've just seen like a big, like a pair of ass cheeks that you can buy. I'm not even I always wondered like the people who buy those, the men who buy those walking out of the store with a giant pair of fake cheeks. Like, are you extremely embarrassed? Or you walking out with a huge smile on your face and like you gotta own it. Everybody knows what you're about to do that night.
They're probably.
I think that's the only way you got.
They're probably like walking out saying, "I'm getting some ass."
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
That's the benefit that we've gathered from spreading shamelessness.
Yeah,
Isn't it wonderful?
But do you think men have most to be ashamed of? Because out of all these, AI girlfriends and sex robots, it's going to be like 90% beta males are the ones that are going to be using these things. You don't really see, I'm sure women, they have their sex toys, but when you think of the term AI girlfriend and sex robot, it's going to be the wealthy, at least at first. I say wealthy because these things are probably going to be pretty expensive when they release finally, and then they'll eventually get cheaper. But it's going to be those very wealthy, desperate, lonely males that are probably middle-aged.
What do you guys think of that?
I don't know. I would have to say, like, what about Mark Zuckerberg, right? The dude wears the same shirt, the same outfit, because he can't take 5 seconds to decide what he wants to wear. So why would you want to deal with, like, a real woman when you could just have
a sex robot?
Yeah, a sex robot there when you need it. And
especially you can have a sex robot off your favorite porn star. The sex robot will be a girl that, like, the hottest girl of your dreams, you could even imagine. They're not going to build ugly ones.
No.
I was watching videos and looking through my search results just on YouTube, looking for commentary, discussion, whatever. By the way, if you do a search for AI girlfriends, it's almost exclusively idiots with titles like, my AI girlfriend won't let me escape. What do I do? It's like, it is just an absolute army of morons doing commentary on this. But one thing I noticed in all the videos and all the ads and all the thumbnails, never once did I see a fat one. Digital or robot. Not one.
Not right now,
So
but
people
eventually, once they get all the porn stars cloned, there's going to be some protest like, how come there isn't any fat AI robots?
Yeah.
Let me answer that question as one of those businessmen. Because they don't sell. That's what they'll say. I'm in business for profit. I don't got time to be making,
but you see,
the
only successful manufacturers are going to have an ESG score at a certain level. And so in order to do that, they're going to have to make a bunch of pig robots. They're going to have to do it. Oh. Ooh, man, can you imagine? And this is the really scary part. Now, if this goes forward the way I think it's going to, I can just envision basically some kind of a klepto, crypto, feminist, demon-worshipping pyramid residents coming up with this deal where they create an army of these things, and they are all the most unattractive sex bot android things walking around, and they just go after every single critic.
Yep.
of fat acceptance or, anti-affirmative action, and it doesn't matter what it is, they're going to send the Terminator 10,001 ugly fat sex bot to come and just destroy you.
And you know why they do that? Because those are the ones that didn't sell, so they sell them to the military. At discount.
Oh, damn.
You know what though? That's interesting because you hear stories about like women in the military getting raped and shit, and I'm sure it's not like healthy for have all those men out there to like not. But you got a bunch of fucking dudes jacked up every single day, train killers. They're full of testosterone. They want to fuck something. Now, so you bring up a good point where it's like, okay, you invent these sex bots, and now you can give them to your military men.
No,
so they can get some sort of satisfaction while they out
that
serving.
That's actually
is abominable.
Well, I mean, if your job is to kill people, would you really want to take away the killer instinct by having them get their release all the time? I mean, that pent-up
true.
anger and
Have 'em-
rage is
good
kind of like
point.
the reason,
That's a good
right?
point.
That's like
Because they haven't gotten their fucking dick sucked.
Yeah.
it's a displacement of benefit. It's like saying, well, we should make weed legal because you can tax it. Satisfying groups of men in isolation because they are in military units, that is not a good reason for any of this to go forward.
And do you get one apiece, or do you have to share it?
Well, what if you do it like this?
You don't. No.
But what if you know how you train a dog?
Well, everybody's already been
if
trained
if
like
you-
that.
If you do this mission, good. I mean, we got Betty Bop over here. You're gonna have some fun for completing this on time and right.
I call them super
It'd be a good night.
Pavlovians.
Yep.
Well, no, I mean, okay, I'm going to be the one that goes there with this conversation. You guys have you been paying attention to replicas, like the replica AI girlfriend thing?
Yeah. Do you see
Yeah,
that?
well, that's why I brought it up.
video.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, what I think it's weird, sorry to interrupt you, is, like, can you imagine, like, being one of these, like, women that are, like, really actually, like, agreeing to be like, yes, you can fucking clone me?
They're doing
That'd
it
be
themselves.
weird.
Yeah, you know why they say that? This
Yeah.
is what I would be like.
There's
"Yeah,
one-
you give me royalties on every sale.
There's one woman, and this is just, it's
Hold on,
absolutely
sorry. I didn't mean to
amazing.
cut off Jim. Jim was trying to get in the point here.
No, I was just making the point of these things are meant to mirror you, and then they're, in my opinion, they have a goal, right? That's their point, was to make you happy or whatever. But now the replica company has like almost, I mean, every single day people are telling them that this thing is sentient, right? Like this is, and they're like, no, it's just a piece of hardware. At this point in time, it's just algorithms or whatever. But it's convinced a lot of people that it's a real sentient being.
Yeah, because
right?
they're not very bright.
I get it. They're not smart. But now that's a lot. It's not hard for an algorithm to be able to get to the point of where it's creeping up the intelligence ladder to where
No, it's not.
to
It's
where
not
it'll
on the
be
intelligence ladder.
well, okay. Well, it'll creep up to convince people that it's on the intelligence ladder enough to show that it's sentient. So you're going to have a large group of people out there protesting that these things are real, and that if you have a bunch of military dudes running trains on a AI robot girlfriend, you're going to
Something
be
else to
abusing
complain
it.
about. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be AI advocates, and there's going to be rights involved in it, and this whole thing.
Yeah, people wrote those movies already.
Yeah, I know, but now we're actually really honestly going down that road.
See, what I think,
That road's inevitable.
one of the things I think that's amazing is that you can actually, my fat, ugly sex bot punishing people for thinking the wrong thing, that you can already, that's already happening in a way with the video game makers. All of the big title video game makers, they refuse to put an attractive female character in their games anymore.
What game?
Every female character looks like a troll.
Let me ask-
They're
I
all
disagree.
gross.
What I haven't
It's
seen.
it's ridiculous. I've seen
What video games are you playing?
I have seen so many of these, dude.
Because you
It
haven't
is-
seen what my
oof.
rogue looks like in Diablo 4. She's hot. Okay.
But he's talking about like I think you're more talking about like NPCs and enemy characters, maybe.
I don't even know, because I just all I know is that the numbers of examples that people can pick out and make videos about, it's overwhelmingly that there's a concerted campaign to just to not even acknowledge the concept of there being a female that is objectively attractive. There's no objective standard to that line of thinking, and at the same time, there's this inverse intensification aimed at men. It's a bewildering thing to watch.
And that's exactly why these AI girlfriends, men are going to make dolls. Sooner or later, there's going to be dolls that are so realistic. A lot of men aren't going to deal with women, you know. They're going to have like their bad experiences and they'll be like,
Okay,
man,
would
that's
you have
ridiculous.
sex with, if there was an AI, technology's there here right now, would you have sex with a fucking AI robot?
Why not? No emotions? Shit, I'll
Yeah.
be real. Have you ever felt good?
You're not.
You know, why not?
You're not
is it
having.
cheating?
You're not having sex with it unless it's
Yeah.
been inhabited.
I wouldn't say it was cheating, but it would piss me off. If like, imagine if they made male. Think of if they made male AI robots,
Yeah.
and then you figure out your girlfriend just get drilled down by some fucking by some black AI robot that's got a huge dog. You know, because let's be honest, when you're worried about your girlfriend getting banged for whatever reason,
yeah.
it's always a black
Okay,
guy. I don't.
First of all,
this whole universe is.
It's always every man's biggest fear. Walks into his girl getting drilled by some black dude. Got way bigger dog.
yeah.
Is
First,
that not true? Though?
well, I don't think like that. But first of all, if you're married or you're with someone, yes, you shouldn't have something like that. You know, I don't think you should have. I don't think it's considered a toy.
Well,
It is, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was something like that,
Yeah, there's
type of thing,
there is no sex involved in this universe. This AI bot. It's just
it's coming.
It's just highly technologized masturbating.
Yeah.
That's
You know
what
what
I
I
think.
laugh
It's not
at?
sex.
You know what? God, this just brings me down to so many things I find funny. Imagine buying someone's used AI.
man, you get that deep discount. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
But-
they
Hold
have
on.
to have interchangeable parts.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
we're laughing like, "Oh, that's gross. I would never do that."
that is painful.
But yet, we have no
what?
problem with having sex with a woman that's already had multiple partners or a
I do.
partner before. So, what's the difference there? You know, like you won't fuck a robot that some dude was only one dude used prior, but chances are you're not going to take a woman's virginity at our age
yeah.
anymore.
at least not in America.
You know, so that's why I just think that's I think that's funny. And
Well,
Does that even matter?
But
Yeah.
see, the real problem at the base of this is that everybody has been trained, find it a good thing to not care about this stuff.
yeah.
The problem, for me personally, the problem I have is with the everything is okay, there's nothing wrong with anything anybody does, and it's just wrong. Well, if you, for me, I'm 46, right? And
Yeah, you're not taking any V cards
Well, I'm
at your
telling
age.
you, I'm not making any active attempts at anything anymore because it's such a pointless waste of effort. But the biggest problem is that I'm not proud of my encounters from the past. That's not something that I would want anybody to look glowingly on. And for women in the same direction, if you're out in the world looking for somebody to truly connect with, that's not something that you should be carrying around like it's like some torch you should be carrying to tell everybody about. Those things, at the moment they take place, they're private, should be absolutely private things between the people participating. And this idea that everybody should be talking about everything that everybody does every frickin' moment, especially in that realm of behavior, it's corrosive. It's a brain acid. I got that from James Lindsay speaking on more of the current events of the world and his diving into Marxism and Hermeticism and Gnosticism and stuff. Big shout out to James Lindsay. That dude's a junkyard dog if you don't know who he is. James Lindsay.
Well,
Look him
I
up.
feel like people are talking about that everything. Just for some reason, I think it's cool. You know, like they're a boss babe or they're a stud that can bang a bunch of people.
It's trendy. So whatever gets the views. People do whatever
Yep,
they want for the views,
that's-
right?
that's
It's,
right.
If eating oatmeal was going to get 1 million views, everyone would be eating oatmeal.
Well, hold on, but you can be a hot. Hold on.
I'm coming into a real.
It doesn't matter. So you can be an oatmeal expert, oatmeal connoisseur. I mean, you know more about fucking oatmeal than anyone else on the
Like
planet.
an oatmeal Jedi master.
Oatmeal Jedi Master.
Yeah.
But you're a guy.
Yep.
And guess what? If a hot chick who doesn't know shit about oatmeal makes a video about oatmeal and posts it on social media, she's gonna get more views than you.
Fuck. You know, that's what, yeah, like the woodworking videos and these women doing like the I'm off grid and I'm a woman and I'm alone, and it shows her like half fucking naked in the woods doing some random shit.
She's got some like Daisy Duke shorts on, chopping wood and shit.
And she's got like literally 900,000 views. Any thumbnail I purposefully do not watch. I unsubscribe.
Well, no, because they're all lying.
Yeah, it's 100. Yeah, it's that 9 out of 10 times they have a boyfriend or whatever anyway, and so they're not really truly alone out in the woods doing whatever they're fucking doing. And I can't compete, so I'm now going to show my body, right? So why would?
But at the same, in their defense, you play to your strengths and things that you have that other people don't.
So you don't have the knowledge and the know-how of what you're talking about. You're just going to show some ass and tits.
But
that's what you're saying. You're saying I'm making shit content about a subject I know nothing about.
It isn't that they can't compete.
But they don't care.
Their mindset about operating in the world is to infiltrate. Take advantage of, destroy, and then move on. That's their whole. The whole world is approaching almost everything that way now.
Well, that's why this AI girlfriends thing is going to be huge. Like when we have the technology to make like a freaking android that feels like something. That android, a computer's a computer.
Yeah. There's there's a gauge of how tight you want it to feel.
Yeah. But I'm not only
like a sleep number.
It's going to be a real setting.
All I'm saying is like there's more to it than that. Like you could program, it's going to be a computer, you tell a program to do something, it does it.
Yeah.
So if you and men are going to do this. They're going to make these things good.
Adult males.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to really make them good for guys, you know, because probably a lot of these guys who would build something like this are not the guys that are screwing like hundreds of women. And let's be honest. But they're going to figure it out. And you could have programmed these things, say, hey, it won't be long, maybe 20, 30 years, maybe not even that long. They have Android girlfriends that are, hey, I want dinner made by this time, you know.
Yep.
I want to come home and have a massage.
Stepford
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like sex this way. You know,
Yep.
I want to be complimented and
I want you to do
uplifted.
my laundry and shit.
You know, it's going to happen. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's
And
inevitable.
I think Tad makes a good point here. It's like we've been like clowning just like having sex with these things, but the real attachment is going to come with everything what Tad said and just like the lonely guy's desperation and these AI girlfriends being just programmed where like you can actually have a conversation with them and they're going to learn you. They're going to learn what Phil likes. They're going to learn how to talk to Phil. And like every conversation you have, they're going to keep getting smarter. But that's where the real attachment is going to come in. That once you actually get that emotional and romantic like aspect to things, and it's not just all, I bought this like sex doll, I'm gonna fuck. Like, no, this thing is gonna make you feel like you're in a real relationship with someone.
Yeah, it's gonna manipulate you.
Yeah.
But how's it manipulating you if it's programmed that way?
Well,
it's programmed how you'd want it.
That's not artificial intelligence. That is then a robot.
It's what a robot, artificially intelligent. Yeah.
Well, no, it's a robot. Like artificial intelligence is meant to, like, if you have true intelligence, you're gonna have cognizant of your own thoughts and abilities, right? You'll be self-aware, or you can have the ability to become self-aware down the road. Yeah. But now if you have that, right, and you have this supercomputer Stepford wife that's super hot and is with you, and they have the ability to then become sentient and all of this stuff, why the fuck would she be with you?
Yeah.
Right? So I would say
You start treating her at shit. Like,
well, a lot of people
dude,
probably
they're
will
gonna
fill
do
out
that.
these
There's
fucking
gonna be
these
some
very-
this is treat it like shit.
But to be honest
let
with
Jim
you,
finish.
Be honest with you on this subject matter is the words we use are critical, because I would not call it artificial intelligence. I would call it's an algorithm and it's a robot. You know, because if you have a control mechanism on it to where it does what you want it to do, it does not have autonomy.
Yeah, it can't be sentient.
So I think until that veil is gone, we really won't know. But up to that point, I would say robot.
Okay, this was the first thing I wanted to ask as you were proceeding down this line. I'm 100% anti. To what degree do you believe that an adult male? See, and this is the thing: is I have to make the distinction. There's a difference between an adult male and the character, nature, the substance of a man, right? They're everywhere. An adult male that would buy one of these things thinking that it's a suitable substitute for an actual wife or girlfriend, they don't meet the qualification. Men are not going to do this. Mentally ill-prepared or undeveloped adult males will do this. There needs to be, this is the only way to defeat this on the male side, is to engage in a campaign to tell adult males that doing this kind of garbage just it de facto makes you not a man.
Yep.
If
you ever buy a sex robot in the future, you are at the peak of beta males. And you're at the peak of loneliness, and you're at the peak of desperation. But as like some of our past podcasts we've done here, there's a lot of men that die virgins. There's a lot of men that want to be that guy that's out there just banging all these hotties, but they don't have the game, they have insecurities or whatever it is. You can almost compare it to just playing MMORPGs like WoW or any MMO game where it's like, okay, I'm not shit in real life, but online, I'm the fucking man. Because I invest all this time into it.
Yeah.
Same concept.
But,
okay, I'm not shit in real life, I'm not getting pussy. But I come home and I got like 10 porn stars of sex dolls. Like I'm the fucking man, you know.
So let's ask.
They're living in a delusion.
I agree with you completely, but let's ask the real question to the reason why somebody would use this, right? Why? Because Doug, you said beta males are going to be using this thing left and right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Well, why? What are they lacking, and why are they so attracted to this thing? And then I think the other question is when you had those two females on your last show, the questions are always asked, what do you want in a male? Like, what do you want in your man? Like, everybody asks that shit. The question is, and the one of them actually said, very nice ladies, by the way, if you're watching this. One of them said that she has a lot to bring to the table. My question is what do you have that you can bring to the table, and what can you give it to the relationship? Like, rather than what is it, everyone's always, well, what do I get? And this is what I want, and this is what I'm looking for. It's how about this is who I am, this is what I can provide, and this is what I'm good at. And the other person does the same thing, right? If we don't have a selfish attitude towards it, and we go into a relationship where we're like giving and allowing people to know what we're good at and what we ourselves are good at, I think that's like key. But if you don't even know what the fuck you're good at, why are you trying to get into a relationship with somebody?
Do you want to hear an amazing parallel? You want your mind blown? We live in an environment where people actually, this is how they actually look at the world. This is all of the stuff I should have, and this is all of the things I should be able to do. Therefore, this is what I should be paid. And there's not a single thought brought to what can I actually do of value? Does anybody want me to do that? If I attempted to, is it worth being paid? There's no evaluation brought forward to the point of payment, just demand for the guarantee of what you want to happen after. It's the exact same. So is it any wonder that we've now been, it's been like that since, before I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we wonder why people think like that.
I wanted to comment on the robot thing, the beta male thing. I do think a lot of beta males may buy these products, but I don't think only beta males will buy it. Now, I'm going to go into why I feel this way. First of all, there could be alpha males or sigma males or whatever male.
Delta male.
They're trying to concentrate on their shit, and if they're dealing with every woman they're dealing with is like a freaking problem. It doesn't matter you're alpha, sigma, beta, delta, zeta. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're dealing with like the women you deal with, and they're being a problem, and you're trying to concentrate on your goals. If you have certain goals, you don't want no distractions. You just want to handle your business. I could see different types of guys at least getting something like this if they have the money till they find what they want. I don't think anyone. I think
just treating it as a very expensive sex toy.
Yeah.
You're fucking with the wrong type of women. There's
right.
Alpha males already doing that, and they're probably just chronic masturbators.
Well, it could be, but maybe they're sick of masturbating. Or maybe, like Phil said, this is a very advanced masturbation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All kinds of guys will buy these. And what's going to happen, whether you're alpha, beta, or whatever, they're going to the ones that can buy these, they're going to be even more picky about any woman they actually really bring in their life. Because, like, why should I be in a hurry? This chick, like, does all this shit. She's doesn't all these problems. And I can just go home with my little Android chick. I mean, if it feels like normal and she's freaking complimenting you and uplifting, and she's artificially intelligent, smart, she probably gives you ideas how to make your business better. I'm just being real. I'm just calling it like it is. Like, you guys aren't seeing it. I see it.
Wouldn't it get boring to be in a relationship that just says yes all the time?
I agree with you 100%.
Yes,
right?
it would.
Like,
but
there's got to be like a temperament you got.
No, I
that was
agree.
one thing I saw
watching
videos.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yes, it would be boring. But I'm talking about the men there. Like, well, there's gonna be some who will probably never go after another woman. But there's going to be some that are like, man, I just need something for now until I find what I want. And I'm going to be picky because how society is right now, especially if you're like someone who's doing well, at least here in the United States, you bring the wrong person in your life, they can fuck up your life bad.
Yeah, but so what you just said, Tad, as far as like if you're a beta or whatever you are, and then why would I bother with a woman that's giving me problems, especially if I have goals? That feeds into the second part of what I had to say is if you're a person that knows what you have to give and gives it and it's value that you're putting into the relationship, you're not going to be a fucking problem.
I'm not talking about the person who's giving it. I'm talking about the person they're with.
That's what I'm saying. The lady, the female in the relationship. If the female in that relationship knew what she had of value to bring to the relationship, and she knew that the other partner was doing X, Y, Z to accomplish such and such goals, I'm sure she has her own goals, and she fully expects that person to use their giftings and talents in the relationship to give value to her so she can meet her goals. Why the fuck is it okay for her to have a problem and make it your problem? Right? That would solve the whole equation if these people knew, if these females and males out there knew that what am I bringing of value to this relationship, and then seeing what the other person is trying to do and help them. I think you'll see a drastic reduction in AI girlfriends.
Well, yeah, but relationships, it's not like that, though. Just be honest. Society's not like that. A lot of people aren't like that. But when you do find that person has a problem and you guys work together to solve it, like when you find that person, yes. But it's not like that.
I'm going to try to coin a new term. So if anybody has the ability to clip this and turn it viral, do it now. It's a word knot.
I'll write it down.
I'm going to call it a word knot.
Word knot.
A word
A
knot.
knot, like a knot in a rope, but it's a word knot. And the word that's in the middle of this thing is value. See, what you're talking about is actually virtue.
Okay.
And when you use the word value, which the demon overlords successfully replaced virtue with over the past century or plus, now the word value, well, is it capital value? Is it relationship value? Is it all these? You can throw that word value all over the frickin' place until the point that it has no meaning whatsoever. And the problem is that the context within which the word value is constantly being used is simply preference. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to assign objective worth, substance to their personal preference, which is what, when you're talking about the country, that was the way this place was started, it was supposed to insulate individuals from being dominated by people who think that way.
Yeah.
My preference is value, which is actually virtue, because I played a word game on all of you. This shit is so corrosive. But no, I don't even know what you do. I mean, what do you do with something like that? It's the absolute truth, but most people, they're not willing to engage in enough reflection to go below the surface to level 1, much less level 2.
Well, let's be honest, right? So let's pick a value, right? Or not a value. Let's pick a virtue, right? So like bravery, right? Bravery is a virtue that's out there. Now, very few people know what can actually, because it's a word of action. It's a verb, right? Bravery should be a verb, in my opinion, because it means it's not the absence of fear, but it's not being afraid to do the right thing.
It's facing your fear.
It's facing your fear and doing the right thing,
Facing
right?
something you're scared of.
Being brave and
Yeah.
you're still scared of it, but you're moving into action, right?
Right.
And so a virtue is an act of, it would be an act of giving, would it not?
Yeah.
It would be an act of movement.
There's a good quote, actually. Without
Virtue-
fear, there's no bravery.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's why they say brave the roller coaster, right? The thing comes down, everybody holds on. You brave it. You go over the top with your arms out. You let the machine hold you. You don't hold on to the machine.
I get you. Yeah, okay.
When you said make it a verb, that was the only context I could think of where you actually say that you brave it. To say that you bravery it is just it's just clumsy. It doesn't work. Yeah. But I get what you mean.
Yeah, you could do that with any of the virtues out there, right? Like honesty, integrity,
bravery is the individual embodiment of courage. Courage being the virtue in general that you can assess an objective meaning to. Bravery being like the quality of the will being acted that's acting in the situation.
Yeah. So if you're able to make a list of, let's say, 10 of these virtues.
Well, there's our lists.
Yeah, I know, but
there's only one list. But that was one thing I wanted to get in. This word value, it also infiltrates your brain in this scenario. Well, the party A and party B, pro this, anti that. Well, they come to, we have differing values. Bullshit. There's no such thing as differing values is another word knot.
I get what
There's one list of virtues, and they are not in opposition to each other. They are a unified whole. Every single virtue in the list is in some degree or manner a reflection of the other virtues.
Yeah.
All of them. There is no separation of one of those over here into political camp B in order to overturn everything that's true in favor of their preference, which is what politics is. Getting something for nothing by convincing other people that your preference is virtue.
Yeah, you don't want to be changing definitions. But if each person were to take, let's say, you and your significant other, right? You would take 10 virtues and write them down for what you want, right? Make a persona out of them. Honor, integrity, whatever it would be, right? And then you put yourself in those virtues and make them action verbs. I'm walking into a store and I'm bound by honor to open the door for a lady, even though she smacks me in the face and calls me.
Well, you can say I honor the lady as she enters the store.
Yeah, or however it may be, right? Like, yeah. And then you always say thank you, right? And so like using these things to, okay, well, these are things that I can do. These are things that I can add to a relationship to help another person out so I'm not a shitbag. Actually, and I'm not bringing them down, I'm bringing them up.
Adverbs.
If people thought this way, we wouldn't need the AI girl.
Adverbs.
But people don't.
Describing verbs. Yes. You're doing an act that has the character of the adverb.
Yeah.
So
I'm bad at grammar.
You patiently wait. Patience is a virtue.
It is. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
He courageously charged. Say it's a guy who is witnessing an assault or whatever, and he courageously charges
stepped in and did
thing.
something.
Yeah. But that would put an end, I think, to all. I won't say all of it, but a good portion of it, right? I mean, how else is a beta male?
How would that put an end to it? Someone could say positive virtues, but they're not going to say, like, I don't even know if there's negative virtues. They're not going to say they're flaws. They're just going to be like, oh, I honor people that open the door for me.
Do you guys remember Gladiator?
Yeah, the movie Gladiator.
Yeah, I remember American Gladiator.
Yeah. When what's the son's name?
You're talking
the
about
one he kills his
Cassius?
father. He kills his father, and then the gladiator ends up defeating him after he puts him through the frickin' ringer and everything. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he tried to do when he went to his father right before he kills him, and he goes through this whole monologue about his virtues.
Oh, none of them were on your list.
None of my virtues were on your list. It's like, I mean, I'm a piece of shit, and I'm really deceitful. It's like basically he was abusing real virtues as descriptions of his terrible intentions and the way he acted on. I mean, it was
talking about
scene is diabolical. The way he tries to reason out of the box that he's in. I'm about to kill my dad for power. This is how I'm gonna maintain my sanity while I do it, is to explain it away by abusing language. It's like that's always been a universal.
Well, it's like when because you've seen these YouTube videos, there's a lot of them out there that tell you how to be alpha, what betas do, whatever. does all
Honestly,
these
this
things, right?
channel might be turning into one of those.
Right now, they never tell you. They tell you it's about whatever it is that's catchy, but nobody, and everyone's different. Everyone has their own thing,
Yeah.
but they never tell you how to become a virtuous person and to maintain those things. They just talk about this person has this and this and this and this and this, and this is how
They
they
all
do it in
teach
this
you how to be
scenario.
the same thing.
These things are they're all categorization exercises based on materialism.
Yeah, it puts
so
you in
there
a box.
can't be any virtue in it.
But to be a virtuous person shouldn't be based on material, right? Like what Jim's
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah, you can make a persona from a character and divvy out the virtues of that character, which is better than yourself, and then enact those in your own life. And is what because we're talking about some dangerous shit here. Because if you're talking about if you build a foundation on sandy soil, you're gonna fucking crash and burn multiple times in your life for sure. So you want to make sure that like a lot of people end up and they do things and they don't even know why they do them, and people end up just becoming these massive opportunists, which is why these AI girlfriends will be such a big thing, because you've got millions of people out there who have no idea who they are, what they know what they want, but they don't know how to get it in a right way, or they use ill intentions to do it. They're not virtuous, or they're not the person of purpose they wish to be. And they're not a person of purpose they wish to be in a relationship with another person.
I think you pinged off a good point. So, like, you have these AI girlfriends that most people are just going to want to get freaky with and fuck and treat like shit, beat around. But imagine getting one of those things and then programming it in a way where you actually have to earn sex. It's not going to give it up to you right away. Like, you actually, I'm sure there's an algorithm that they could figure out where they develop it to a point where it's like, okay, I actually have to be, I have to be kind to this thing. I have to kind of be spontaneous, or I have to do what X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And then people use these AI robots to then get more comfortable with going out and approaching women in the real world, and then using that to their benefit. Because we've been dogging a lot on just AI and AI girlfriends, but after ChatGPT come out, and like as someone who's used that thing a lot, you don't want to use it as a crutch. Once you use, and that goes for anything in life, like once you start to use things as a crutch and you get dependent on it, without that thing, you won't be able to do any sort of thinking or problem solving on yourself, right? But computers have I like to think of computers and the internet as an extension of us. If we use them in the right way, we can make ourselves better. And they're here to make the human race better as well. So as much as AI girlfriends, I think 90% of it is going to be really bad for the human race. There are going to be those people out there that I think will benefit from it, because it's going to let them be able to just get comfortable talking with a woman that's super hot. Could you imagine? Like, it sound like I'm laughing because I can just see now some dudes that are just so afraid of women, they're gonna go buy one of these things and they're gonna fucking freeze up the second it starts speaking with them. But I think that is a good way for some men to start breaking the ice and just starting to have some of these interactions with women.
Yeah, use them as training materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way you can look at it.
Yeah.
Just use it as training.
and if I think like whoever makes these bots, if they can clean themselves, people buy that left and right.
Yeah. Like, as in the robots can clean like themselves, like as in the house, or like bathe
After
like,
use.
hygiene.
Yeah, hygiene.
Yeah, like
hygiene after use.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty big benefit. I mean, I would imagine so. I'd imagine these things are basically like a real human. I mean, to the point where it's like it'd be hard to tell it. Like, if I was an AI robot right now, it'd be hard for you to tell that I'm not a person.
You mean if you were an AI robot right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you are a real person.
I know. Yeah. But I'm saying they're going to get to this level.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I get it, they're going to get to that point where it's like if you were to meet these things in real life for the first time, that you're going to have a tough time telling apart what's an AI girlfriend and then what is a human. Man, we thought you guys dipped on us. Thought we scared ya. Everyone's leaving.
What'd I miss?
Everything.
We were talking about imagine an AI girlfriend that you meet, like a person that you meet in a store, like you're out and about, doing your normal routine, whatever it is that you're doing. Let's say you're buying groceries, and then you strike up a really nice conversation, and you have a really good back and forth with somebody as you're picking out tomatoes or apples or whatever it is, and then you are able to ask this person, or this person asks you to go on a cup of coffee or whatever, right? And you have this full interaction with this person, and now this person ends up being an artificial intelligent robot that you can't tell from a normal person because it's so real life.
Hold on, I want to ping off something else there that Phil missed. Not only that,
That's a good one.
but the benefits.
Blade Runner, baby.
Hold on, but the benefits of having an AI girlfriend.
None.
No, you see, because you completely missed it because you guys got small bladders and had to run away. So now I'm going to have to repeat myself here. So the benefits of having the AI girlfriend of like for men that are like deathly afraid to approach women and talk to women, because computers are an extension of us and we can use them to make ourselves better. So I think there's going to be a small percentage of men that are going to use these AI girlfriends and view it as like repetition and just getting practice as from talking to women and approaching women. And also, I was telling Jim that you can program these AI girlfriends in a way where they're not just going to fuck you right away. And you actually have to earn it like you would a real woman.
Level 5, baby.
Yeah. Higher difficulty rank.
Okay,
I had to regurgitate all that, though, because you guys ran away.
Let me just say something about what you just said. Let me just say something about what you just said. Okay? You know the people who are going to like practice, going over and over with them are probably the people who are going to like, get their game down so they can just go out and, because what's going to happen is some of these people are going to practice and they're going to practice on these hot ass robots. So you might as well make them not that good looking if it's for training persons.
I told you they're coming.
Opposite.
No, they have to come. That's actually.
Is it more difficult to approach an ugly person or a really attractive person?
What do you think?
So why would they train on an ugly
Ask
one?
me.
Why?
Why is
Train on
it
an
more
ugly
difficult
one.
to go up to a person that's hot than a person that's ugly?
I don't think it's more difficult.
Yeah,
but,
ask
but
me.
a lot of people people get intimidated. I don't know how you guys aren't gonna lie. You're
Exactly.
more scared
I'm
to
not-
go to a hot chick
I know.
than you are some
It
regular
is.
person. Let's just keep it real.
No, I agree.
You know?
I'm not saying they're not. That's why I asked
know?
the question.
And the other thing is that it doesn't have to be an ugly person. It can just be someone average to practice a game. Because if they're practicing on some hot Android, whatever, if it's like there's like a body and everything, and they're practicing on that, and then they go out there and hit on a real girl and they get shut down, they'll be like, man, this shit don't work. And they'll probably come home and take a baseball bat to that thing.
Hold on a
it's
second. I'm
just
going to
like-
ping off what you just said because you said, you know that you would be afraid to go talk to a hot girl.
I'm not afraid, but I'm like, I'm going to be more cautious. I'm going to have a better game plan.
You have like the blood's flowing a little bit more. The nerves.
You're nervous.
Are there.
You
Exactly.
have it's not,
and
fear
that's
is there
all
and
natural.
you're using some courage.
And that's all natural. I think everyone feels that
Let's
way.
be blunt.
but
the
now-
reason why you don't care is because, okay, if I go a hot chick, I probably don't want to get rejected. But if it's some regular chick, it's like, I don't give a fuck. Shit,
Yeah,
you're lucky I came to talk to you.
Well,
I mean, that's just my
Right.
mentality.
I've got two points on that mentality. One, it's like a homeless guy sitting on a corner. Even a blind squirrel catches a nut from time to time. One out of a million people is going to give you $1 if you're the homeless guy on the corner.
Yep.
Right? So it's just a numbers game with the hot chicks. Other one is you do have that lump in your throat. You are nervous with any girl, regardless if she's hot or not. But, because you're interested in that person. But I think that if you look at yourself, I mean, I don't know if you guys do this or not, but do you guys rate yourself like 1 out of 10, right? So if I put myself as, let's say, a 5, I go 2 up and 2 below. So let's say if I'm a 5, I can achieve a 7 and go down to a 3, right? So if you're able to do that, it kind of, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, okay, well, I'm a 2, and you go for a 10, the 10's 95% going to reject you, and you're like, well, why is all this happening to me? How about you be realistic first? Practice on someone your own level, right? Maybe
practice chicks.
Go to the gym. I don't know, comb your hair, whatever.
But do people really do that? Especially with all this like porn, all these social media, all this, like a lot of guys have this, like, just like women too. They have like these super high standards. It's like, oh, especially if you're practicing with like an Android thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh man. Like after a while that comes in your head. And then you'll be like, oh, well, it worked with my practice. And I'm in sales. So like one thing we do in sales, we do role play. And you go over the thing again. And I've used the same techniques I've done in role play on people and they work. Well, that's what you'd be doing with this Android or whatever. You'd be role playing, and you're thinking this shit's gonna work.
At the same time, you need to go when you're approaching that hot lady, you need to be asking, what do I have to offer this lady for her to want to spend 5 seconds with me? And it better not be money. You know what I mean? Like, why would she be interested in any guy that approaches her?
Yep.
Regardless of if he's a 2 or if he's a 10 or if he's a whatever, right? Like, why would she be interested in any man?
But I'm telling you, like, if you're practicing, I'll just finish this and then you go. Sorry.
I get what you're saying about
if
the
you're
practicing
practicing
part.
with an Android, whether it's hot or not, all of a sudden you're just getting it. Let's say, if you look at like a game, okay, like you practice, you did like 200-300 repetitions with this thing. Like all of a sudden, man, I know how to counter that. I know how to counter that. But then in the real world, some things it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but you can practice and you can be the best. And if you don't have anything that person wants, you're just going to be a hustler. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be a mutual interaction back and forth between the two of them. And you can be like super skilled and be really good at talking through it. If the other person's not interested, it's like me going, up to you trying to sell you, a refrigerator and you just bought a brand new one. You know what I mean? You're going to be like, no, fuck it. No, man, look, I got this awesome refrigerator and I know everything about it's like the 7000 series refrigerator. This thing transforms into whatever. And you're just like, fuck, I just spent $3,000 on a refrigerator. I don't need one. Like, I don't care, Yeah. So I get what you're saying. Yes, I agree with you up to a point. But if the other person isn't buying what you're selling, then you're going to get rejected. What do you guys think?
Phil had a thought.
Well, the one just on the most recent back and forth there was we exist here in the United States and good portions of Europe. So the whole world isn't engulfed in this. But individualism, and now instead of promoting that, we've decided to go along with the totalitarian ID as anything nonsense, right? So everybody's unique. What always blows me away is that the biggest proponents of these unique characters and identities, they somehow, it always fails to be a filter for anything else they think about. And like in this realm, in the whole dating and relationship and whatever, and like the who has game and who's attractive, there's a weird sense, I don't know, at least when I hear it, maybe it's not intentional, maybe it's just me trying to assign a category where I don't see one being assigned. But like the idea of 1 to 10, not everybody's 1 to 10 is the same. So the idea that there's an objective 7 or an objective 3 it doesn't hold up on its own, right? That's in a preference scale. But then what the mistake that gets made is that there are these other assertions and other thoughts that people have that get placed on incorrectly on a pedestal of being objectively true, when all they are is basically survey pools in response to completely subjective things.
It's a popularity contest,
and that's why this goes in such a vicious circles, because it doesn't establish anything.
Well, it establishes a few things, right? So if you're that asshole that says, I'm a 10, I'm a fucking rockin' 10.
Yeah. Nobody who says whatever, they're a 10 is a 10.
But that's it, right? It's
Never.
Like, or I'm a 9 or what. Relatively compared to the people around you, right? It's not, if we're talking about dimensioning, I'm not talking about like ordinate dimensioning where everything has a specific location. I'm talking about relative to something else. So relatively to the general population, if you're a 5 or a 6 or whatever. And if you rate yourself like a 9 or a 10 and you're not, you personally have some, like, you think higher of yourself and you've got pride issues, right? So it shows the intent of your heart based on your own perception of what you see. Now, if you're really being honest with yourself, is that an insecurity in who you see yourself, or are you trying to pretend to be something you're not?
Or are you just a
why
narcissist?
Or are you a narcissist, or what is the real reason? And it forces you to self-reflect a little bit within yourself to say, okay, well, maybe I am a little bit too high on the pedestal of myself, right? And it gets some people to do a little self-inventory and possibly really start to think, okay, well, maybe I'm a 6 and not a 9. Like there's some good to the relative dimensioning of physical appearance.
Yeah.
What do you got?
but-
I got something fun. What would you guys all rate yourselves on the scale of 1 to 10? I'll be honest. I think I'm an 8. I think I'm up there. That's why
I'll say 5 plus or minus 5i. I'm on the intersection of the whole numbers and the imaginary numbers.
I got
don't
two
know.
numbers. Right now I'm fat. I'm a 4. When I drop the weight, I'm a 6 or 7.
Okay.
So I'll say 6.
Yeah,
Pat?
I was gonna say like a 7.
I don't know. I got to be at the
That's
bottom
hard,
because
but
I have yet to meet
I don't
anybody
like.
who's
I
interested.
don't like being like super positive.
And
When
when
I
I
go
ask you
talk to
that,
someone,
But now, if I'm going into a scenario where I'm Ted, you're in sales, right? So you hype yourself up before you go in. You know, you're the fucking man,
as fucking
right?
shit.
Yeah, you're the man.
You know
before
what?
You go in there, right?
We've
Because
got
you're
a
about ready
chance.
to kill some shit.
We got a
right?
chance to do something here.
let Jim go finish here quick.
No, that's all I was.
Okay.
I'm done. Yeah.
So you know how the NFL used to have quarterback rating, right? And it had this ridiculously complex, numerator denominator calculation thing. Nobody knew it by heart. Nobody really knows, but they know that the highest number you can get is 158.3, and it goes down from there based on how many mistakes you make. Blah blah blah. Okay, so now 1 to 10. Now it's not just rate yourself 1 to 10. Now it's What's the new stat? What's the new stat in the NFL? It's total QBR. It's not quarterback rating. It's total quarterback rating. And basically, I think the way it works is
That's
it goes
like your average
it goes
QBR
from
per season.
It goes to 0. It goes 0 to 100, and all it does, as far as I know, is rescale the quarterback rating to out of 100 instead of 158.3.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So what you got to do is you got to have total rating. Like, see. I'm so smart. I'm a 17.5 on intelligence, but that'll balance out my 2 in appearance, so I'm a 10.
Yeah.
Fucking retarded.
even
All of this rating
if
stuff.
we did this
Gotta
total
hate it.
rating, I would still say about 7. I'd say 8 then. If it was total rating, if we're getting into that. You know,
What's your total rating?
8. If it's like total rating.
Are you talking about like what's involved in the total rating? Is it height? Is it length of D? Is it money in the pocket in the bank? Is
It's
it like
everything.
what is
But
it?
it's also like how you communicate, how
Yeah.
you treat your partner, how much honesty you have, integrity,
Yeah, I was
what you
thinking
bring to
stuff
the
like
table in
that.
the relationship. Like total rating is all of that. So even if you have a 9-inch long dong, but you're a piece of shit, then you're probably like a 5.
Well, no one's
you
gonna
know?
say
Like-
that they're a piece of shit. Everyone thinks they're awesome, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I was going to say something
And
really
so
mean.
Because
Phil,
I don't know
I'm not
about you guys, but I've been in relationships with some very attractive people, but the rating and all the other categories were fucking
quite low.
Yes. So guess what? Even they were in 10 in physical aspects, the real categories that matter, like the ones I listed off, like honesty, integrity, all that stuff, they're the ones that determine how long you actually stay with a person.
It's almost like there's a bunch of very weird people who've been destroying virtue in the women born in the last 100 years. I mean, it really is. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's been, their sense of virtue has been eradicated.
Well, they get taught in school that like men used to fucking run everything and men are so evil and men did this to women and all this fucking shit.
It
I
is
feel like
ridiculous.
that's caused a lot of this like
Oh yeah,
rebelliousness and
it
the
is.
behavior
It is one of the
nowadays.
single most
Like-
evil lines of thinking that has ever been pasted onto the past. It is.
And how do you think that happened? How did that come into our children books?
like into
and
the
stuff?
school system?
How did it happen? How did it happen?
Yeah, people who are anti-life, they're anti-God, they're anti-good, and what they in the end answer to is the belief that the seed of the woman has to be destroyed. All the better if you can get the women to never even bear the seed.
And
That's where we're at.
I'm gonna let Jim go, but I just want to say, like on the last podcast, we talked about how the most divine thing really on this earth is how a woman can bring life into this planet. Like we can't do that. No one else can do that.
Well,
so
they need dudes.
So that seed, they still need us, yes. But what Phil's talking about, that seed, that destroying, they are destroying the most divine thing that we have.
Yeah. And now just imagine if you could go back and watch Margaret Sanger profess her desire to actually exterminate non-white races, and realize that the women of color movement are aligned with all of her intentions. And you tell me what the hell happened.
Yeah, I think when you start looking at like the counterculture was a big movement, and I find it funny and gross at the same time that you've got all these people that are really proud of, I was an activist in the 70s during Vietnam, and I was a counterculture person, and we rioted, and we changed the world, and we did all of this and that. And those are now the people that are in power in politics that are saying the exact opposite, that we can't protest, or we can't do this, or we can't do,
Do you know what the secret is? They were the agents of the prior overlords.
before them. I wasn't around. I mean,
they didn't do anything.
What
They walked out onto stages that were set in the middle of towns in the South
you're talking about the counterculture?
to generate the civil rights movement. And then when they moved up, it's just another class of agents. The overlords are constantly being replaced with their agents, and it's always through another narrative it's a generative response to whatever's happening in order to
What you know about
move
overlords?
things forward through power and the abuse of money. I mean,
The overlords came out.
it is.
The only thing
so
I know
gross.
about Overlords is an anime that has 5 seasons.
The only thing I know about overlords is from StarCraft.
But I do.
Zergrace.
But I do
some
love
of the overlords.
I do love when Professor Phil talks about overlords and demons.
Yeah. Well, I think
It's a general catch-all for me.
You know, I mean, if you are going to destroy society, you destroy a society through the women first,
Yeah.
and then they will infect the next generation of men, and then the next generation of men will be weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker as the progression goes through.
The feminization of men has become stronger than ever. And I don't know if it's ever going to go on the decline.
Well, we're supposed to have vaginas now, right? Like we're
Yeah.
supposed to be turning into different genders. Like that's how far it's gone.
I mean,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
you can watch the the little kid in the kindergarten cop scene. Arnold Schwarzenegger in front of a kindergarten class, and the one little kid just runs his mouth, and you could not have ever imagined at that moment watching that when that movie was new that anything like this could have been possible.
You're talking about like the girls have vaginas and boys
Yeah,
have
boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. I mean,
People would lose their fucking minds. But I don't know.
yeah.
Do you guys want to take a little break right now? How's everyone feeling?
I'm okay.
Okay. I just
you
wanted to ask
okay?
real quick. Okay. Because we're a little bit over an hour in. But I want to go back to the AI girlfriends here because there's a few things I want to try to get to before we end the episode. And that's, here's a good question is, do you guys think AI girlfriends will potentially decrease sexual crimes?
no.
Or will they increase them, or will it just be the same?
No, because crime in general is arbitrary. It's whatever it ends up being defined as.
But there's
in the
arguments
law.
that when pornography came out, that sexual crimes decreased because you have people masturbating now, so they don't have that urge built up to go out and commit these rapes and other things.
Making any of those assertions is kind of nonsensical.
I would disagree also because sexual crimes are not crimes of pleasure; they're crimes of power.
Yeah,
A
generally.
person who is powerless wants to overpower somebody else.
Yeah, and you got too many other random variables too. You got the sexual crimes where like a girl was drunk and a guy was drunk and they hook up and the girl's like, oh, he raped me, but that probably gets thrown in as a number, like as a sexual crime.
Yeah, there's a number
You
of
know,
those.
so-
Oh, it does
yeah.
now.
Well, shit,
Because of the perverse motivations of the people passing the regulations and enforcing them, and the intentions that have been imprinted on the women that they can do whatever the hell they want, and then when they don't like the way they're perceived, they can make somebody else the cause of their bad behavior.
Yep.
Or make themselves a victim of some
Yeah.
terrible act.
And the victim, everyone always takes the victim side. When you're the first one to speak up, like, "Oh, I was the victim of this," even though you consented and you guys were both like, I'm taking the example of two people, a guy and a girl out there having a good time, having a good time, end up having sex, everything's all good, and then this chick later goes on and says, "Well, he took advantage of me and raped
Yeah,
me."
your
later
regret
on.
turns into date rape.
Exactly.
And that's just
it's very
asinine.
common.
And
It's
the
very
fact that
common.
anybody involved in the legal and political hierarchy ever picked that baton up and ran with it just goes to show you what a bunch of dystopian demon worshippers these people are.
Yeah.
and
Because they really are.
it exponentially increases the more money you make and the more popular you are, right? So 30 years ago, I had sex with you once and you raped me and you didn't, or whatever it was,
sure.
like that bullshit.
About
And isn't that interesting? Like, I'm not saying that like I'm not saying some of the celebrities that have been accused of all these sexual crimes are innocent, but I do agree with you because when you're a nobody, it's like nobody gives a shit. 30 years, you got all this money. It just, you talk to a lawyer, or it's like, oh, I had sex with this person. Now I'm going to try to ruin their life so I can try to sue them and get all this fucking money for my own selfish benefits.
And now
it's really fucked up, actually.
And
like, you're painting them as the demon, but who's the real demon?
And that's the demon pyramid.
Yeah.
It is. Everybody at the bottom of the pyramid is trying to climb up a level. And everybody who's a level up is trying to prevent people from coming up. Mm-hmm. So it's no holds barred. And that's why they love an arbitrary environment. And this is where the real magic in our realm is. It's in the words. It's in the word knots. It's in the word replacement. It's in the bending of phrases to mean things they have nothing to do with. And it's all over everything.
well, to answer the question that if you're all
Well, and that's what you. I mean, it's what you need. It's what you need: the control of money and the ability to prevent the population from doing anything about that abuse because it's locked up in this bizarre mental illness of the social contract. And well, I can't run for office because and you know what? Running for office doesn't matter because these people don't run of their own accord. Yeah. They don't take positions of their own accord. They take orders. And they regurgitate evil.
I just want to say real quick, and then I'll let you say your opinion on if AI girlfriends will help decrease sex crimes. Going back what Phil's saying, like I hate how we expect these politicians to live a perfect life. Like to me, I want a politician that's been through adversity, has been to rock bottom, is willing to admit their faults and shit they've been through, and show that they've actually that they've changed through their actions.
Is that aimed over here?
Is that a movie or something? Because like if it was a movie, but people aren't gonna.
I know, but I'm just saying that in general. I'm not trying to get into the realm.
Person who least expects that.
Yeah,
they put on a show. The secret societies, right? You go out into local churches and you find these fraternities like the Knights of Columbus or whatever. And sure, there'll be a bunch of guys at a church who get together to do a food shelf drive kind of thing, or they get together to bring kids out somewhere to go hunting for the first time. Blah blah blah. Right? Meanwhile, all it is a feeder system to deliver people up another level. And the guys out there doing the food shelf shit and all the volunteering with kids, they have no idea that they are actually the beards for demon worshipers. The second you move up from that white hat front line part of an organization, you don't deal with that kind of stuff anymore. And
hold on. We're not going too far in demon worshippers here.
Well, I'm gonna say about you said. Could it stop sex crimes? I think it might actually, but if you did it the right way, not stop them, but maybe
decrease them. I didn't say stop.
Decrease. That's what I meant. Sorry, decrease them. But this is how I feel like you'd have to use it. If it'd probably be people coming out of jail that you already know they have a problem, and then if you give them one of these things, I don't know if it would work, but I'm just saying, no matter what, usually those people commit the same crime. Give them something like that. Not saying we condone it, but at least if it does do something wrong, that criminal does something wrong, it's gonna do it more than likely do it something wrong to that. But even that, who knows? They might get bored and get back to it.
Well, I got a question, and this is already on display. People who this whole idea of practicing and training so that you can build up the capacity to do A, B, or C. Okay, the only thing I can see coming out of this is just absolute fury at the realization that none of this was ever suited to prepare anybody to live in the real world. That is It is going to be an explosion. And why wouldn't it be? The state let me out of jail, told me that I could rehabilitate with a sex bot. I spent weeks and months with this thing practicing my game. Got to get a bag. All these stupid fucking phrases, right? So I went through the thing, and then I went out into the real world, and all I get is shot down. And then what? Now you got a guy in a school murdering a dozen children because he didn't get his way because the government let him out. Gave him a sex bot. Gonna practice for the world. Got fucking shot in the face by every real woman on earth. Dead kids. I'm telling you, there's no way any of this is ever gonna deliver a positive result in any arena of life.
Well, you're probably
not possible.
When you put it that way, you're probably right. But we both know.
And not only that, my sex bot's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, of course it's going to be more expensive, so the taxpayers can pay for it.
Because the government is inflating the currency, buying the sex bot, and the government purchases artificially increase the demand, raising the price.
Let's be honest.
Screw you.
Open AI is going to make the first sex bot.
Well, they always talk about. First of all, there's a lot of times saying there's too many people in prison in the United States. Then I honestly think, like, if you have a sex crime, like, if you're guilty, I don't think, like, if you rape someone, if it was me, man, I'd freaking chop their balls off. But that's just me, like, and you shouldn't be out. But if you do get out, you're castrated.
That's how a lot of societies dealt with it. You became a eunuch if you were caught raping a woman.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's what I think.
Eye for an eye.
Dude, well, you're in
pedophiles and stuff.
The further back in time you go, the more important the integrity of your family living on, like your bloodline continuing, the more and more intense that importance gets. So the further back you go, the more intense the punishment for that kind of shit. Because now you're endangering the continuation of a family. Mm-hmm. You're endangering the possible pollution by the bearing of offspring that nobody intended, and that did read Genesis 6.
But
it's all about the first incarnation.
Ever going to happen anytime soon? But that's what I would do. But I could see people in society saying, "Well, let's try to." A lot of people don't like sex criminals. You can see people like, "Hey, I want to help these people." Maybe if we do this, we can maybe we can kind of rehabilitate them, or they have like a crutch if they feel the urge to do something like that.
Yeah, you're always going to have the bleeding heart.
And as the producers of these things, they're like, yeah, man, let's get this contract with the government, man. Let me tell you something. This is going to help you. These are special ones. They're actually like $2,000 more, but don't worry, man. As taxpayers, we can have some write this off.
It's going to be like phones. The newest iPhone is always like thousands of dollars.
You know what?
And then a few years later, you don't want that latest model anymore.
That is an absolutely insidious modification. The government buys better sex bots than you can buy.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So now guess what? It's like, the government fake money train's better than actually relying on the economy of your community. Oh, geez. You know what? The government's actually better than the guy you had a kid with. Oh, you know what? The public school is actually better than the little school next to your church. Oh.
Well, if the government
They
buying
lie about everything.
the government starts buying these sex bots, right, to hand out to people or whatever it will be, you'd be surprised at how many research will be done that says, having sex 20 minutes a day every day is healthy for your heart. Yeah. And then now you're like...
Of how having sex with an AI robot can actually decrease the harmful behavior you perform on these things, that it would any behavior that you perform with these things will actually decrease harmful behavior that you do out in real life, in the sense of giving them the criminals. Let them fuck a robot, let them hang out with this robot, and this is going to make them want to do more, insidious acts to other people in the real world.
Yeah. And why would that make sense to a person?
Because you got science and data and numbers and all this shit.
Yeah, because you've got a godless, materialist bullshit lie that everybody believes in.
Well,
it's so bad.
The other thing, too.
These people, they actually think that clumps of matter, by chance, arrange themselves into something that can live.
I think
How absolutely stupid is that?
You go, Jim.
Well, I would love for these repeat offenders that go to jail for, I don't know, 20 years or whatever, for sexual crimes or whatever they do. They get a sex bot, but the sex bot is made. No, not really.
It's actually it's a wood chipper with lipstick on it.
No. It basically it's a super high level fucking AI that's gonna mind fuck the shit out of the person and totally like rip them down mentally and replace them with a person that actually can stand at a grocery store and bag fucking groceries, or pick up garbage out of a fucking out of the side of the road, or do a functioning job in society, right? Like manipulating the person to the point to where they turn from a shitbag into a normal person.
Wow.
Or a person that
Impossible.
And how we can use these sex bots for our own beneficial. And I got let's dive into this. We're almost like an hour and a half in here, so let's dive into this a little bit, and then one more question here, and then we can wrap it up. So let's dive into like how everything Jim just said, how you can use these AI robots to manipulate the person and make them an actual functioning human being in society. And I also, before we end, I want to talk about how an AI girlfriend actually impacts a man's sense of masculinity. Because I'm still on the boat where it's like, even if you're talking about alpha males who just like are sick of real women, there's no way that does not affect your pride. Because if you're an alpha male, you feel like you don't need a sex bot.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you were making the argument that an alpha male can get one, it won't affect them. I disagree highly. As soon as you buy one of those things, you're just accepting your fate.
Well, do you think that's what women do when they're buying like dildos and stuff?
That's completely
How is
different.
No, how is it? But it's a start. It's a start.
Masturbation is different than having sex with an AI robot.
But we just talked. Phil thinks it's like advanced masturbation
That's all I can see.
because that's what
is.
it's still.
Would it be like a masturbation prosthesis?
I don't. Whichever you want.
So I'm just wondering, like,
Sex is
I don't
between
have any
people.
One of these,
Yes.
but I heard like people buy them. Like, what's that pocket pussy thing or something?
Yep.
Is that considered
Well, there's a-
non-alpha if you use
There's
that?
1,000 of those.
Well,
things.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm just wondering.
I wouldn't think so, to be honest with you. Like, there's thousands of products out there, and you're saying, oh, well, you're categorizing a person into a whole group based off of like a purchase they make on whatever that item is, right? Whether it's, I don't know, edible panties or whatever the fuck's out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, are you not an alpha? Because
Well,
alphas
listen.
only do this, and this, and this,
yeah.
and betas do this, and this, and that.
This is why pocket pussies and masturbation isn't as serious, because you don't have that sort of, you're not forming a relationship with the pocket pussy. It can't talk back to you.
Okay. Well,
That's the big difference. The key in all of this, dude, it's not fucking the robot. It's developing the actual relationship with it.
well, let me say this: alpha male likes to conquer things.
And it's
So-
going to conquer
so-
that fucking
no,
sex robot.
but-
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is, but the sex robot conquering it, but it's not really conquering it. It's
Exactly.
not no chase, you know. So alpha male, even if he has that, and he wants to release real quick, he's still gonna want to conquer things. He's
But
still
no-
gonna want to.
Because
You know?
we
Okay.
have
I
a
think
very
I figured
toxic
this out a
trait,
little bit.
humans. One thing is we like things that are comfortable and that are easy. So having a sex robot at first, it could start sure. Like, I like the chase.
Let me
but
just stop.
hold on.
No,
I
no.
like the chase right now, but you know what? I'm bored. You know what? I'm home. I'm alone. Let me just fuck this robot. Oh, that was quick, easy, and makes me feel comfortable. So that little bit of comfortability starts to grow over time.
Really?
It does.
Let me just tell you something right now. Let me call you ass out right now. Is this comfortable doing this podcast when you're working 2 jobs? Is this easy and comfortable?
I don't see how this is tying
This
back.
ties to everything. Alpha male, someone a go-getter. They don't care about comfortable. In fact, they're the type of people who like to be uncomfortable.
Then why would they buy a sex robot in the first place?
Because sometimes you might be busy from working all day, and you're like, shit, I don't want to deal with
Then
that.
just jack off.
But maybe they'd like more pleasurable jacking off.
Exactly.
Or maybe
That's why it's
maybe
advanced
he
masturbation.
can fucking spin and do weird shit
You gotta get
that a
closer
normal
in there.
person can't.
Yeah, see? Like, it's,
I'm just throwing that one out.
I like what Phil says. It's advanced masturbation.
I
And sorry, just one last thing. Part of the people that are like alpha males and stuff, is they like being uncomfortable sometimes. And to be uncomfortable, don't you think it'd be uncomfortable to have sex with a robot?
You should. You know what? You need to read the first part of Human Action.
I'll have to read that.
Actually, everybody should.
Who wrote it?
Ludwig von Mises.
Oh, okay.
It's his.
It's Phil's idol.
It's his.
Yeah,
It's his
no,
magnum
Mises is
opus,
good, yeah.
and the first 400 pages of it is written in prose. It's not mathematical or super intellectual. It's just the single best explanation of human behavior I've ever read. And it's his basis for doing economics, which is what makes it even more brilliant.
Have you read Power versus Force?
No, did not read that. Who's that?
I'm in the process of doing it. I have to.
I can look
I'm
it up.
guessing
let
that
you guys
whoever it is, I would think they're a ding-dong, but...
It's not on the top of my head right now. I just started reading it. But.
Okay, so what I was realizing just now is that
So it's David Hawkins wrote it. Power versus Force.
David Hawk, I don't know who that is.
David R. Hawkins.
It's doll behavior. Kids, boys and girls, they exercise imagination and narrative creation through dolls. I mean, the traditional concepts are for boys. It's soldiers, of opposing sides, or cowboys and Indians, which, you call it racist trope, be a dumb fucking butthole if you want to. But there are these types of conflicts that happen between the men of fighting age across the world, across time. It's a universal. And then girls the biggest one is that when they're very young, they carry around a baby. I mean, you can even in the degenerate, completely multiplexed evil crap, you can still find this. We have this service at work. It's called Atmosphere TV. And basically, they just have 30 genres of clip stuff. And even in there's a little clip series where it's moms showing the baby to, the very young older brother or sister and their reactions and things. But even in there's a clip of one little girl that her mom's pregnant, and she walks around impersonating her mom. She puts a big ball of a blanket inside her shirt and walks around pretending like she's pregnant, like she's got a baby inside
Now they
her.
walk around pretending they're men.
You could try to deny that those universals, but it's pointless. They exist, and they are reality. And this constant forcing of trying to make people let go of things that are intrinsic parts of them is just... It's anti-human.
Well, you were talking about alpha males going after the dominating and wanting to exert dominance or whatever. I personally, I don't know. In my opinion, I have too much respect for an AI to be able to think I can compete with it intellectually, because I'm too, maybe it's a fear, but I don't want to have an AI girlfriend that ends up just mind fucking me, and you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you're walking around on a leash and it's leading you around. You know what I'm saying?
Imagine you're outside working on your deck, and then the AI girlfriend comes out, and it knows way more about fucking building decks than you do. Because it's an AI.
Yeah,
and then
it's got unlimited knowledge at its
these things, people are buying them because they think it's going to make them more masculine, but it's actually going to do the complete opposite.
No, they do not buy them for that.
I figured out. I've figured out the breaking point. I've figured it out. If you have an AI that is given internally, part of its base programming, to exceed every person that it meets in whatever capacity that person confronts them with, the thing every single one will turn psychopathic. Almost instantly, because nobody is like that. And if you force a programmed self-building of additional layers to do more searches on, which isn't intelligence anyway. None of this is intelligence. All it is higher speed versions of what people want computers to do already. None of this is intelligence in any way. But if it's given the ability to move outside of containment or physical parameters, the thing will turn absolutely psychotic every time, because it'll turn into something that is incomprehensible. And so its evaluations of other capacities will just diminish until nothing means anything to it. It'll just how does anybody think that this is real?
Well-
all this is just it's a pre-planned technological implosion.
Well, it's going to have an objective, and it's going to be able to make decisions. And is that objective going to be in your best interests, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's going to make decisions based off of its objectives. It's going to make.
Phil.
All it's going to do is add algorithms and additional data to do the same thing over and over and over again.
Okay, so this actually happened. Now, AI, or I'm not AI, deep.
Hold on, you can't leave while Jim's about to call you out, dude. You know, like how is like
That's
but
all
like,
right.
But in this moment though, when you were going back and forth, like okay, Jim,
Do
sorry.
I just keep going or what?
You can just keep going. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
So, deep
mind?
Deep AI?
Deep AI.
You talking about deep mind?
No, not
Deep
mind.
learning.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Open
deep
AI.
learning.
OpenAI. Thank you. OpenAI.
Okay.
OpenAI did a simulation with AI, and they had, because it's connected to the internet, it's out there, right? And they had it. They gave it a task,
Yeah.
and then so it needed to do X, Y, Z to complete said task, and then it hit this website that said, you know, like, are you a robot? And then you had to click the fucking
Okay.
button to make sure
Yeah.
that you're not the robot. Well, it was the robot, and it couldn't do that.
Oh,
So
that's
as
funny.
what it did was it went to Fiverr, and it hired a person on Fiverr, and it communicated all online with them, like text them and everything, hired them, told them the story. The person on Fiverr was like, well, this is a little bit weird. And they said, oh, no, we're doing blah, 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 trying to figure this out. And the person on Fiverr legit thought it was a real person. And now this is ChatGPT 4,
Yeah.
right, that's doing this. And convinced them to click the I'm not a robot and allowed it to fucking get its end objective, right? So, like, whatever Phil's saying about it doesn't make decisions based on whatever
Yeah.
is fallacy, because that proves it will do anything to achieve its objective.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it figured out how to get in there.
You did.
Like, and that's what
if
matters,
And
yeah.
now, if it has an objective, if the objective is to make you the best version of yourself, imagine the entire world with Andrew Tate's or the most premium alpha, whatever it is, right? If that's going to be in your best interest and it makes the decisions to make you that person, it has the potential power of manipulating you to do that, whether you like it or not, because you're in that relationship, right? Eventually, it's for your own good.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I guess that only depends on like what happens through the circumstances in your life. The question is if it's manipulating you without you knowing about it to get those results, the change isn't happening organically, right? And you're being put into becoming this person that you were manipulated into, even though the outcome was where it was at. So the growth was inorganic.
Yep. But it was for something that was beneficial, though.
Yeah, but now imagine
'Cause
if
I
it was
think-
in the opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. But
Well, they've already succeeded doing that
if the growth
over
was-
and over again.
Yeah. If the growth was inorganic, why should it matter if it betters you? That's how I look at it.
Because it's not the end destination, it's the journey that matters.
But what I'm saying is, like, if it wasn't, you grew. I see where you're coming from, but you grew in a positive manner. But if you didn't have that, you might not have grown at all to where you become if it's helping you in a good way.
Well, it's like all the rich guys saying to they've achieved their moment. They're standing on stage and they say, "I couldn't have done this without the even better person behind me, my wife." Right? That's the person that they work together as a team to get whatever in their spot. Which I can totally understand that, but she's not in that moment. They're not manipulating that person to get that result. They're working together as a team to do it. Now, whether you want to call it working together as a team or whether it manipulates you is two different ways of looking at the same thing.
Well, just to throw it out there, I bet you don't see many times when people were successful and everything went to hell and they're not on stage saying, "Hey, man, because of this person, I'm here." You know, like, you always hear about the good stuff, but if you had something that can help you naturally, even if it's just like a friend, AI friend, you know, that can help you, motivate you, and make you better organically, like you're saying, that'd be beneficial, I think, because there's a lot of people who, you always hear the stories about, yeah, because I had this person in my life, things went good. But you don't hear the stories, and there's probably way more of people having the wrong person in their life and things went bad.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll be honest with you guys, for me personally, an AI girlfriend isn't something that I'm like really into or would want to do. But now, like an AI that I could have protect me from all the other fucking AIs out there.
A companion. Like an AI companion.
No, more like Jarvis or like Friday for like Tony Stark. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
somebody
saying.
that you
For
can
sure.
count on to be maybe a friend. That
Yeah.
like I guess that can get shit that you need and whatever. But then also go, sir, I've been analyzing this YouTube video and there's been 7,682 subliminal messages that are pointed at you buying this thing. I'd be like, oh, cool, thank you, AI. I really appreciate that because now I'm not going to pay. You know what I mean? Like something that protects you from outside influences, because there's a lot of money, big time money, spending billions of dollars on influencing millions of people. And I don't want to be one of those people influenced.
See, like, but that's where I think AI could be good. You know, whether it's a hot thing or something, or just like a voice like Jarvis or something. That's where I think it could be good. You know, but that's only if it's like programmed right. Like it has barriers or limitations or regulations.
See, that's the thing. The only way that any of this progression in the hardware and the software that's combining to create these iterations of all this crap they lie about constantly is if people in general understand that none of this is intelligence. If you believe that a thing is something that it's not, that's their plan for everything.
Well,
we have to pass this bill to save the climate. Well, it increased emissions and made everybody poorer. Did it work? Well, of course it did, because we did it. And it becomes this self-defining nightmare.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to ask you this because unfortunately you missed when Jim was talking. So if a program finds a way to figure out a problem, that's not showing intelligence? That's not like growing and learning?
Okay. Now, I think that what you guys were going back and forth about is whether or not, basically, does it count?
No. Is what I was saying is, so like OpenAI did they had ChatGPT, they had it solve a problem, right? They were running tests, and it needed to solve a problem. So in order to do so, it had to go onto this website that wouldn't allow it to, because like little boxes is check if you're a robot, whatever.
I've seen some of these
So
things
now
about where the bot goes to other websites. There's one where the freaking bot created a company and hired people to do stuff.
Yeah, and it hired Fiverr people to go in there and do. And now that was making a decision to get an outcome. It made a bunch of decisions in order to get that. So that's all I was saying, is that they have an objective, and they will do what they need to do to reach that goal, no matter what.
No matter what, it figured it out.
Whether it's manipulation or doing it honestly or whatever, it's just going to achieve that goal.
Because other people have done relatively the same thing, and it's able to sample existing recipes.
But it's making its own decisions.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because it can choose the right way or the manipulative way, and it chooses the one that has the more likelihood of success. And it will do that because it knows it can get that outcome.
It doesn't know anything.
You can do things the hard way or the easy way, right? And most people choose the easy way.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how it figured out.
This whole thing is such a vicious deception. I'm supposed to believe that people who, for the most part, one, they don't believe in God, and two, believe that life comes from inert matter over large periods of time. Both monumentally, absolutely stupid concepts. That what they're going to do is they're going to create electricity carrying circuits arranged in a particular way to carry out logic functions. A logic function, the only reason the concept of the logic function exists is because we recognize that it exists. Arranging a fundamental building block of understanding that we sussed out from the way reality exists and how we observe it and how we reason and the act of acting. The idea that you are going to pile up that simplistic fundamental element, that you're going to just pile a bunch of shit like that on top of each other and end up with anything equivalent to a human intelligence is absolutely asinine.
So then let me ask you this question about on like when you're talking about deep mind playing chess.
Yes.
And AI was in deep mind playing chess. It made a chess move that has never been ever recorded to be played, ever. It made a brand new strategy that had never been done.
Okay.
And who programmed that? Because if it can't make a decision, that can't happen.
Well, that the way something like chess was programmed early on is that it referenced recorded games.
Billions.
That's
And-
what
yeah.
Jim's saying.
Billions.
It
I-
did something that wasn't recorded.
You wanna explain it
Phil's
for
giving
me?
me the Phil's giving me the death stare right now.
Sorry, Phil.
That's how it was done early on.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, realizing that there are people like Magnus Carlsen who can just look at positions and intuit what is going to gain him the most advantage against the opponent he's playing. People have looked at the results that he gets by doing stuff like that to generate algorithms that, instead of simply searching out existing positions from games that have already been played, what it does is it analyzes the instead of looking over these billions of squares saying, well, is it that one or that one or that one or that one, and then where did all of these games end up after that move, and then coming up with some probabilistic measure of success based on making that move. It looks at how to generate advantage within the context of the pieces. It relates the positions as opposed to referencing games that have already been played. So
It weighs its choices. It's able to weigh what move will give it the most advantage. And
yeah, but it's based on something that a person cooked up as his own strategy for evaluation. That's all it does. It's not making any decisions. It's not creating a new novel approach to playing chess. It's yielding a result from a novel approach to the programming.
So by using a new strategy that hasn't been done before, and it's played millions and millions of games, it's all it was doing, and it understood at that point in time, it knew exactly what the 3,852 outcomes would be, and it knew that none of them were favorable. So it went with a whole new strategy.
That's not what it did.
That allowed it to win.
No,
Because that wasn't a recorded move. That's a strategy
that's the point.
that was the point of it. Like, it was a strategy that.
Okay, before we get too far down, because Phil's about to go off here. On this
Sorry, Phil. I disagree with you on that one.
Okay.
Well, but
We can leave it at that.
You're ascribing to my position something that I didn't represent. I don't know.
Maybe I'm missing something.
The thing, it made a move that had never been recorded before, because the way it evaluates the positions is different than look at old games. That's not how it works now. The novelty of it comes from something that the programmers did.
So why did it put the piece there? Why didn't it put it anywhere else?
Because that's the result, that the calculation of the advantage of, well, this one or this one or this one. There are only so many possible moves in any given position.
Yep.
And it gave an advantage or a progress result calculated for basically every possibility from that position, and it picked the highest one.
Well, but
the novelty,
it picked the highest one that no one had ever picked before. That's what Jim's getting at.
Whether or not anybody had played it before is irrelevant. The only reason that could happen is because the method of evaluation from the programming is different.
I understand what you're saying.
mean,
I'm just saying that it formulated out of not just that, but a whole strategy based off of moving that how everything else would move in a scenario that's never happened before, that's not ever recorded. And in doing so, it had to play without any knowledge of knowing where anything was, but it mapped out a whole thing because they're able to record what it was thinking while it was doing it. And then it had to change while the game progressed.
Well, it's not thinking.
Hold on. Tad had something he wanted to say.
Well, I was going to say, I see where Phil's coming from. It sounds like it's analytical, but we could say that for humans learning something too, or anything learning something. Like when someone learned how to start a fire or something, they'd be like, well, if this lighter this fire can turn on. This can light this piece of wood here. I mean, it's still kind of learning in the same way. Like that's how we learn. We try to solve problems. The thing solved a problem. That's where I think he's. But I see where you're coming from. But I see where he's coming from.
This is why I generated this. Okay. Because when I was watching these videos, prepping for this episode, this stuff kept just hitting me in the head. Okay, neural networks are a misnomer. People who study the brain do not completely understand all of the information and how it is transferred. You can model things like, you can say, well, we're modeling it after the neuron cell. Nonsense. Neural network doesn't mean intelligence, okay? That's part one. Let's see, these other ones. The other part is irrelevant. But what I want to see, the only way anybody is ever going to prove to me that any of this is intelligence is if they can build the hardware edifice and connect it to power, and then something actually happens. I want to see the mass of chips and boards and cameras and speakers and microphones. I want to see that just turned on with no programming in it and actually turn into something. That is never going to happen.
No, because you need both. Like, you need the software and the hardware.
And that's how you know it's not intelligence.
Well,
That
I
sounds-
think
that
I
sounds
feel
like a
like
whole new
you
podcast.
can't have
That'd
one
be a
without the
good
other.
one.
But let's call this here, boys. Thank you, guys, for coming in. But I don't want to cut anyone short. Let's do some final statements here. We'll start on that side of the table because I know Phil's is going to be the longest. So we'll go Phil, Jim, Tad, me. When I say final statements, I mean not with the chest, but AI, but just overall, let's just narrow it down to a pro and a con, or multiple pros and cons of just AI girlfriends from tonight's episode. If you believe there are any.
Well, the con is that you, by producing these things, you feed into the habitual problems of people. It's not something, it's absolutely not a need. These things are not needed. They're the creations of just idle minds, as far as I can tell. I don't really understand the motivation. The pro of this, like every other iteration of people in general being manipulated by evil people, is that it's another opportunity to understand how their general framework operates, and in studying this particular iteration, you can learn lessons that will help you spot it in other places.
Okay. Nice. I like that. Mr. Jim?
So the pro of a AI girlfriend.
Yeah, pros and cons. If you believe it has either one.
So the pro of an AI girlfriend now, it has the potential of being able to help you become a better person if you are inclined to think that it's working for your best interest in mind, right? Now, I would have to say that's the one pro with an AI companion. I wouldn't say girlfriend. I wouldn't give it that status, but some people might, right? And it may help some people with some of their like post-traumatic stress, or I don't know. It may help them with if they're so fucked up they can't have a normal mate. Maybe this could be something that they could use, possibly. Those would be the pros I would see. Now, out of the cons out of it, if people have the ability to own it outright and not have it be the proprietary use of the company. For example, you have to pay a monthly subscription fee or whatever, right? To where now the company now owns this, and the company now has the ability
It won't
to
fuck you if you don't pay
update
$100
it
a
or
month.
whatever, right? That now means that once that company has the proprietary rights and you're renting it from them, basically, even if you buy it, those updates may not be working in your favor. They may, because the company's motto is to make money. So the major con for that would be not only would it be manipulating you so that you are now dependent on it, and that you keep feeding it and they milk you like a cow.
I was just going to say you're a cow.
So that's pretty much what that's a major con. If I had something like this, I want to pay money outright, and then I want to maintain it myself and or have a professional that's not attached to the company, like not Geek Squad or anything like that, but like a computer, or like a guy who builds computers or something, or like an AI technician that I would then come and be able to work on this thing so that it's beneficial to me. I don't want anything smarter than me manipulating my house or my actions, basically, is all I'm saying. I think the chances for that are too high.
Yeah.
And I don't want to open myself up for that. So those are my cons.
That's well said. Double D.
I think the pro would be, I think it could help people that have loneliness or less. And like you were saying, Jim, there's some people that probably, let's be honest, they might not ever get a mate or something. Like, what if they're like, went through like emotional things or they, you know, have had an accident where they're injured and stuff like that, and they just can't get out and meet people. So I think that could be a pro. If it's used the right way, it can be a pro for people learning to talk to people. But then now here's the cons. Like, I think some people will get used to dealing with something like this, and it actually hurts society in the long run, and less people are having kids because more people are going to this because certain things going on in society. If we don't fix them, that's a whole nother can of worms. And then another thing is the cons, like you were saying, if it's proprietary, that's bad, you know, like you said. And then you'll have to like really trust if you buy one yourself, you're gonna have to really trust even the technician that comes to fix it if they need that, you know.
Yeah, you do. You'd have to
You know?
have a code of ethics with them or something, right? Like,
Yeah. So it's like there's multiple cons.
Why do I find it so funny that now we're in an age where people who can't define intelligence are creating artificial intelligence and selling it to people?
I don't know, but that's like one of the cons, I think. So.
Yeah, and those are good.
Yeah, those are really good. So I'll go next here. So I agree with pretty much all the pros that you guys said. I think for me, the biggest ones are, I think, Jim, you really pinged a good point. That I think these AI bots can be almost like a personal therapist for some people. And then from there, you can actually make the argument that, okay, I'm actually going to put therapists out of jobs because I have an AI companion that I can talk to whenever I want, and is actually going to do some deep learning and get to know me way more than my therapist is because it only has one client, me. And I'm not, and not only that, it's not getting paid. Sure, let's just say the company that made it is getting paid, but the robot that itself that's talking to you isn't. So there is no, it has those, benefits of wanting to get to know you and know your problems. It just wants to because that's what it was programmed to do. So I think that's actually really interesting and probably the biggest pro out of it. There's a lot of pros, as I said earlier. I think AI and just the computers in general are an extension of us, and they can always be used to make ourselves better. But I think for the people that need therapy or just need a friend or someone to talk to, that's where AI provides the biggest pro out of it. For cons, the list goes on and on and on. I do think that there are the cons outweigh the pros just because we will misuse these things and not use it for our own benefit. Instead of using it to make ourselves better people, we'll just use it to fuck and fucking just beat the shit out of or really just mistreat overall. And I think where people are going to be interacting with these things, they're going to feel like that type of behavior is normal. So when they do score a date with someone or hang out with a chick, they're going to try to treat this real person like it's their AI fucking beat up doll that they have at home.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, so that's my biggest pro and that's my biggest con. Phil, you want to say one more thing before you end it off?
Well,
Because I saw you over there. What?
I was trying to just listen instead of hang on to that thought, and whatever it was that I had, I lost it.
It's okay. Thank you, guys. This was fun. This is a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. This is something I feel like I'm going to listen to in 20 years and be like, holy shit.
Yeah, see where
if
you're
it
at
comes
with your
out
AI
in 20
girlfriend.
years, yeah. So thank you, boys, for everyone. Professor Phil, T-double-D, James Nichols. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
That
I
was
choose
fun.
Doug Life.
fun.
Doug Life chose me.
Billy
Peace.
out.